Hello and welcome to another video with Guido Meyer, me. Okay, first thing I want to say, I guess you know that things I find very annoying sometimes on YouTube is you go on YouTube because you want to look for something. The good thing about YouTube today is you can actually nearly look for everything. If you don't know about cooking, for example, you just go on YouTube, you find recipes. If you want to learn about guitar playing, it's so easy today. You just go on YouTube and people teach you how to play guitar, chords you never heard about, and so on and so on. Point is actually that many people, they promise you they will teach you this or that, they will show you this or that or something. And the whole video, let's say, goes, for example, it runs for 15 minutes and 14 minutes of the video is just blah, 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 blah. And if you're lucky, in the very last minute, there is the content. And sometimes the video just leaves you with more questions than you actually had before. And so you did not find the answer. Well, I hope I can avoid that and I try to make this a short one. But I need to explain a little and yeah, it will take a little time because you always have to go back to explain the right way. And people like me, whether I don't talk at all or if I do, I mostly also give you a book. But I hope I don't do today. Okay, let's go ahead. Actually, the reason why I do this video is a while ago I did, on my channel I do several things, any kind of stuff, RC models, helicopters, cars, of course, music, guitar playing, and whatever comes up to my mind. Now I also start to a little comedy now and then because I just like it. I see my channel more like, it's like watching TV. And on your TV channel, there's also different topics. They're not always the same. And I'm just a human like anybody else too. I like music, I like guitar playing, but there is other stuff I like to do too. So why shouldn't I? Anyway, by talking about RC models, RC cars. See, a while ago, I did a video about how it's about the body shell of a RC car, and I just did it more or less by the way. I thought actually mostly people will know it already or have had the idea already, and I thought it's actually not so interesting because I just showed how to use a roof protector for the rear of the truck. And later I found out, well, at least 1,700 people find this interesting. And for me, I'm not a big YouTuber, If 1,000 people watch my videos, for me that is already Woodstock. So I think this is what I have to tell you today about the changing of the guitar strings. Could be interesting for some of you, for many of you, especially for beginners and especially for people who have their first guitar with Floyd Rose or probably a Kayla or similar tremolo, vibrato, call it whatever you want. Well, like I said, I try to make it short, but it's not so easy. I have to go a little back. See, okay, let's start from the beginning. This guitar here, my Ibanez RG 550, is from 1988 and I bought it in 92, and this is actually what I consider my first real guitar. I had guitars before, of course, but they were actually cheap, and especially they had no Floyd Rose or no vibrato at all. And when I was younger in the 90s and I finally had the money for a good guitar, I was I was convinced I need a guitar with a Floyd Rose because yeah, I just wanted to have it, you know. I just want to try, and today it's like I cannot actually not think about playing a guitar without Floyd Rose. I mean, of course I can. I have a guitar here with just a normal bridge, and I also have acoustic guitar, of course, and I play them too. And but if I want to play the way I want to play, my style, the Floyd Rose is I cannot live without it actually. I mean, I don't use it excessively. I don't use it excessively, but it's if you hear my guitar playing on my albums, recordings, you hear what I do. It's like it's just like giving it that. That kind of stuff. Little bendings, little vibratos here, and I call it like it's the third dimension. Gary Holt, the guitar player from Exodus and Slayer, he said one day, which I absolutely agree, that a guitar without a Floyd Rose doesn't feel natural for him, and I absolutely agree with him. So, off topic again, huh? So let's continue. When I received this guitar in 1992, there were some standard strings on it from Ibanez, and these days I remember very well I was experimenting with lots of strings. I already found out for myself that the gauge I use is 09. But the brands were changing. I tried Dean Markley, Diodario, Gibson, Fender, whatever was on the market. And I finally found myself ending up with this one. And I almost have the feeling 99% of all guitar players use it. Yeah, maybe not 99%, but many, otherwise there wouldn't be so many names on the back of the Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. Don't worry, I'm not sponsored by Ernie Ball. It's just really the brand that I'm absolutely convinced in, and there's a reason. There's actually many reasons. The most important is they sound great, they last long, but the most important is they actually never break. It's really long ago, I actually cannot remember the last time I broke a string, you know. And if they break, the good thing is they break exactly here, right there. And if that is happening, you do not even have to change the string. You just open the locker, you take off like 2 or 3 windings, pull it down, lock in again, tune the guitar, and you're good to go. That's all. That's why I'm so convinced about the Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. Anyway, what I really remember very well is when I when I had the guitar first, the floating tremolo, the Floyd Rose. I was not a beginner, but I was a beginner in things of Floyd Rose. Of course, I was a beginner. So I took off the strings which came with the guitar, and I put on my Ernie Balls, the 09, and what happened, of course, like the tremolo went like this, or it went like this. So it was not set up a line, not set up equally. And I really remember that gave me a really, as a Floyd Rose beginner, a headache, because you have to take your screwdriver, you have to open the box behind here, and then you have to start this adjusting. Then you tune the guitar. I mean, you know it, huh? Especially when maybe you also remember when you adjusted the Floyd Rose yourself the very first time. It can give you a little headache. Then you have to tighten the screws in the back, or you have to loosen them, until you finally got it that the tremolo is really the way it should be, and that is equal. Actually, this one should be a little lower, but today is, of course, is not a big deal anymore for me. So I was so happy when I finally adjusted the guitar that I never changed strings anymore. Actually, I wouldn't change strings either, because, like I told you, I was so happy with the Super Slinky, and why should I? And they're cheap actually too. Why should I change strings anymore? And I only play in standard E tuning. See, I'm an old folk. I'm 50 years old now, and as you can see, my guitar, it only has 6 strings and no fan frets. Yeah, that is what I consider a guitar. I don't need 7 or 8 strings and skull opened. I don't need that crap. Just simple. So I stuck with my Super Slinkies, and I stuck with the standard E tuning, and still today. There's no reason, the music I do, there's absolutely no reason to tune the guitar in low B or C or D or whatever. But that has changed a while ago, because I started to play in a cover band, and for example, we cover songs also from Mötley Crüe and Whitesnake, and if you know Mötley Crüe, Mickey Mars, he plays most of the songs in D tuning. I don't mean drop D, not only the E string, the whole standard E tuning goes down 1 complete note lower to standard D tuning. So when I talked to the band and they explained me we have to play Mötley Crüe songs in D tuning, my first reaction was, of course, like this: oh no, Jesus Christ! I have to change the strings, and the problem will be when I change the tuning. I mean, I don't have to change the strings. Primarily, actually, you have to change the strings, but that is the next step what I'm gonna explain you. You have to go down 1 whole step. And everybody, you know what it means when you tune the guitar in D, and what will happen? The tension of the strings becomes lower, and if you don't change the feathers, the springs here in the back of the guitar, your Floyd Rose will be completely out of balance, and it will pull back. So you have to do all that adjusting again, I thought. But actually is not true. See, a while ago, when I had to start to change the tuning on some of my guitars, I mean, most of my guitars I kept in standard E tuning, but 2 of my guitars now I changed to D. And I saw a guy, then I looked on YouTube, just like you actually now do, to get the information. What is actually the best way or the easiest way to get a standard E-tuned electric guitar with Floyd Rose down to D tuning without having too much trouble? And there's a guy, and what did he do? He took off several strings just from the middle, like the D and the D string first, and then the B string first, and he goes back to the A string, something like this. And then he finally fumbles with the screws. That gives me a headache, because it looks like it takes you forever. And I was actually, because he doesn't want to get the truss rod should not be adjusted. He said he doesn't want to get the neck out of position, and so on, and blah blah blah, any crap. And I actually was absolutely considered I have to go through all that too. And even if I'm not doing exactly like the guy, if I'm going to change the strings, I was convinced that it will take me at least 1 hour to set up the guitar that the Floyd Rose will be equal. Well, I mean, I have a guitar over there. It has no Floyd Rose tremolo. And just for the fun of it now and then, I tuned it down to B, I tuned it to D, I tuned it to C. And the first thing I found out, if you play standard E tuning and you're used to play 0-9 strings, it feels very good, very natural to me. At least for me, when I tune down the guitar to standard D tuning, I immediately had the feeling the strings are too thin for that kind of tuning. So the natural way was I got a set of 10s, the what is it, regular slinkies. Of course, also Ernie Ball. Why should I change the brand? Like I told you, I'm not sponsored and nothing. I just stick with strings I like to. I thought that the next natural thing is just, instead of using the 9s, using the 10s. And that was absolutely correct, my decision, because when the guitar is tuned down to D, the 10 strings, they feel like the 10 strings in D feels and plays almost like 0-9 strings when it's tuned to E. When I play 10 strings and the guitar is in standard E tuning, it doesn't feel good to me. It's way too stiff and no. But like I told you, so for me, I found out standard E tuning 0-9, standard D tuning 0-10s. And now here we finally come to the point, to the content, what is actually all about. I want to take away from you the fear, because I'm sure there is some guitar players, probably many guitar players out there who have the same problem, especially when you're beginner and you just made it to set up your guitar, that the Floyd Rose is perfectly in the floating position, in the middle position, the way it should be, and now you should change to D tuning. What I expected was I had to go to all the adjustments all over again, to like really look the tuning first, and then surely the Floyd Rose will be completely out of balance and you have to tighten the screws or loosen up the screws. But to my big surprise, it turned out to be that now listen to this, when you just take off your regular strings completely, all at the same time, just as you would change your normal strings, like always. You put on the 10s, the regular slinkies here, and you start tuning. You tune your guitar in D, and you will find out actually there is almost, really almost, I mean, there's almost nothing you have to change with the tremolo. The tension is almost, I say almost, is the same. The adjustment I had to do on the springs in the back is like probably a quarter turn out, not more than this. I'm probably sure you will get away with just doing absolutely nothing, and the Floyd Rose will just be in the same position it was before. Yeah, it doesn't sound so special, but I have to tell you, I play guitar since 43 years now, and that was really surprising to me, because it's so easy and it feels just good to know you can change the strings without actually having to adjust the Floyd Rose. If you just, of course, if you go down, if you don't change the gauge of the strings, if you go down to D and you stick with the 0-9s, which I wouldn't recommend, because strings feel absolutely like rubber and does not feel to me like playing guitar. But if you go standard E tuning 0-9, standard D tuning 10s, believe me, it will work. You give it a try and you will see I'm right. So enough blah 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 now. I hope I took away a little the fear for those people who have to go through the same. like I did. And I hope this video is a little helpful for you. And that's actually all. Goodbye, see you next time. Huh?